Understand the fundamental picture quickly. Every major move in the futures, bonds, or currency market originates from some sort of fundamental release. We don't need to track every news event that transpires. However, we must be able to access quick information of what's currently driving a market if we want to have an edge. Economic statistics released by governments and other central agencies can be divided into two groups: leading and lagging releases. In the leading economic data, we can say interest rate, business confidence, housing starts, consumer credit, manufacturing orders, and car sales. Also, we can include GDP. GDP is not that much a leading indicator, but it's going to follow all other economic indicators from that group. And what we mean by saying a leading economic data? We mean that data that will have effect right away towards 6 months period of time. So announcement in the change of the interest rates can move the data right now, and that effect can last for a while. While a lagging economic data, like a labor cost, productivity, unemployment, average earnings, job vacancies, and so on, are still important pieces that we should know. But they're usually lagging to move the market. And we are going to see them really reflecting the market after 3 to 6 months. Major news usually are released once or a few times per month. And for every economic event, you will notice how strong an impact that they can have on the markets. Traders expect the news to set the context of the current trend in the market, and disagreement between current data and larger trend can have a significant impact on your trading instrument. To make it even simpler, let's look at, for example, imagine that we are in the strong bullish trend in the US dollar, because a lot of people believe that US is doing good right now. And for some reason, we have a disappointing data coming from, let's say, a GDP or consumer credit. It doesn't really matter. Definitely, people want to believe that market is still stable. So they want to continue to trade in the direction of the larger trend. In this case, that would be a bullish. So if we see a strong disagreement between a data, there is more likely that we see US dollar pushing lower before we see more news. Now, let's look at the few news that we want to watch. Employment. What employment economic data measures? Employment is a measure of total employment, including both employees and self-employed. Why do we need to know this? Employment indicates total current output potential. This is highly cyclical, as when demand increases, employers tend to increase hours rather than hire new employment, and vice versa. Unemployment. What unemployment economic data measures? Unemployment measures people out of work but ready and able to work right now. Why do we need to know this? Unemployment indicates a spare labor capacity. Just the same as with employment, this is highly cyclical event, and there may be a natural rate of unemployment. Companies can hire up to the point of the natural rate of unemployment, and when that's reached, demand will breed inflation. Consumer spending. What consumer spending economic data measures? Consumer spending is data that tracks spending by persons. Why do we need to know this? Consumer spending is one of the key components for GDP data. We need to track a real percentage of change. For example, if spending grows 5% and prices rise for 2%, the real rate of change would be only 3%. Okay, let's make this even more simpler. What we want to see in a healthy economy would be a consumer spending more and more money. But if we see a consumer spending raised for, let's say, a 3%, and prices also rise for a 3%, there wouldn't be any change in that real change. Because we want to see people are spending more money, but that the prices remain the same or a small increase only. Consumer confidence. What consumer confidence economic data measures? Consumer confidence gives a consumer perception of their economic well-being. Why do we need to know this? This economic data determines short-term spending, borrowing, and savings plan. This is a leading indicator, and the more confident consumers are, the more likely they are to spend money, which boosts consumer spending and economic output. Industrial and manufacturing production. What industrial and manufacturing production economic data measures? Industrial and manufacturing production gives the value-added output of mines and manufacturing companies. Why do we need to know this? This is the indicator of industrial activity. Industrial production as a whole is a broadly indicative of the state of economic cycle. The output of industries producing capital goods and consumer durable tend to be squeezed most during a downturn in the economy. So what we are looking here would be some positive data. In case we see a bad data coming from industrial and manufacturing production, we are going to know that that economy is not doing really great and that there is some problems that they need to solve. Manufacturing orders. What manufacturing orders economic data measures? Manufacturing orders gives a value of new orders received by manufacturing companies. Why do we need to know this? Indicates output in the near term. The economic data can tell you the overall shape of the current cycle. A rise in the order may signal an end to a recession, and a fall may indicate that cycle is peaking. So if we see that manufacturing orders are rising, we can say this country looks good because they are working better and better every month. While if we see a bad data coming from manufacturing orders, or worse, let's say some really disappointing data, definitely that would be a sign of a potential recession, and we can expect to see a strong turn in a trend. Housing starts, completion, and sales. What housing economic data measures? Housing data tracks the number of new houses under construction and built, and sales of new and existing homes. Why do we need to know this? Housing data can be a good indicator of economic strength. Stronger housing starts imply demand for materials and labor. Stronger sales can be a sign of healthy economy and that people are spending their money. So definitely what we want to look, and I think I pay really a close attention to housing data more than any other data, just because in my head, if we see that we have a lot of new housing starts and we have a decent amount of the sales of the new and existing homes, that will tell me that the economy is healthy and that we can trust that country. While if we see a lack of, let's say we have more housing that are complete, but we have a low sales, that means that we have a lot of houses that are not being sold right now because people don't have money. And if people don't have money, that would just mean that the economy is not doing really great. The next part I want to watch would be the retail sales. What retail sales economic data measures? Retail sales measure most commonly sales by retailers. Why do we need to know this? Retail sales indicate demand and cover up to half of total consumer spending. This is one of the key indicators for predicting consumer confidence and demand. We need to look at whether there would be a strong decrease or increase in the volume of sales. This part is really simple because large retailers give you that a real overview of the market. If we see a strong decrease in the sales coming from the retailers, we will know that we can start thinking that the next consumer confidence report will be worse than before. So right away that will tell you, okay, there is some potential problem in the country. Import. What import economic data measures? Imports represent all purchases from abroad. Why do we need to know this? Higher number may displace domestic production and drain a healthy economy. A country imports goods and services because it can't produce them itself or because there is an advantage in buying from abroad. Definitely, we want to see a healthy economy. And a healthy economy, in my view, means that the country can produce a lot of stuff in their own country and not import everything from China or any other place. So the next key part that we need to take a look would be the exports. What export economic data measures? Exports are a measure of sales in other countries. Why do we need to know this? Strong export figure can generate foreign currency and boost economic growth. In ideal cases, we want to see higher exports compared to imports, so we know that that country sells more products than it buys from abroad, and this will have a strong impact on GDP data. Like we said, we want that country that we are looking for that imports and export data to produce more things in their own country compared to idea we want them to sell their services and products to other countries and increase their exports compared to how much they are going to import this year. Easy approach to economical releases. Knowing the fundamental picture is not going to be a requirement for technical trading. However, a combination of a technical and fundamental study of any pair can boost our win rate. Try checking the economic calendar a minimum of once per week and write down all important data that are scheduled for the current week. During the first few months of your trading career, you should avoid trading at least 15 minutes prior to and after any strong news announcements. However, I want you to start paying attention and keeping a track record for yourself on how the market reacts to important data. After a few months of just watching how the market reacts, you will start noticing that all the moves have their own formations that can be easily predictable when you pay attention to small details. So, you don't want to trade 15 minutes prior and after that strong news, but I want you to watch and make a screenshot of how market react. For example, if we have unemployment coming from US, I want you to make a screenshot of that time when we have the release. You can wait 15-20 minutes to see how everything looked and just make a screenshot. Keep that screenshot somewhere. And after a while, you'll start noticing that during the every news, market don't know how to do anything else, and it's usually going to repeat that same process. And we are going to work more about this part later on, but for now I want you to start keeping some sort of a journal for yourself. is to help you later on if you plan to learn more about the fundamental trading. We are going to continue talking more about fundamental trading on our members' webinars. And at this stage, you first need to get some idea of how news affects the different markets.